On Sunday, the leader of the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, finally committed her party to the policy of leaving the European Convention on Human Rights, ECR. This puts her in lockstep with her right-wing challengers in Reform UK, who committed to leaving the ECR in their contract with the people, essentially their manifesto before the 2024 general election. This means that the two major parties on the right of British politics now support leaving the ECR. But what actually is it? Why do they want to leave? And would this actually be a good idea? Let's take a look. Earlier this week, we discussed the newly announced Conservative policies with their leader, Kemi Badenoch, at the Conservative Party conference. Watch this over on the TLR podcast channel. It's linked below. It's worth starting by explaining what the ECR actually is. In the aftermath of the Second World War, European nations met to draft a treaty that would ensure the horrors of World War II could never be repeated. As a result of these conversations, the ECR was formally drafted in 1949. In 1951, the United Kingdom became the first country to officially ratify the convention. The ECR includes fundamental rights such as the right to life, Article 2, freedom of expression, Article 10, and the prohibition of discrimination, Article 14. To ensure that these rights are upheld in signatory countries, the European Court of Human Rights was established in 1959. Citizens who believe their rights have been violated can have their case heard at the court in Strasbourg. The next major development came in 1998 when the UK's Human Rights Act was introduced under the new Labour government. This law essentially incorporated the ECR into domestic law. While it didn't change the rights citizens already had, it meant that they could bring cases before UK courts if they felt their rights had been violated. If unsuccessful, the cases could still be heard in Strasbourg. So far, this all sounds fairly positive. So why do Reform UK and the Conservatives want to leave it? For both parties, the main issue with the ECR is its impact on the government's ability to control immigration. While the ECR doesn't explicitly prevent states from restricting immigration, those on the right argue that it has been used to block deportations and that the only way to stop this is either by disapplying parts of it or leaving it altogether. Two articles in particular are often cited. Article 3, which prohibits torture and inhumane treatment, and Article 8, which protects the right to private and family life. Article 3 prevents governments from deporting migrants to countries where they would face persecution, ill treatment or other serious human rights violations. This principle, known in international law as non-refoulement, is also enshrined in the UN Refugee Convention, to which the UK is a signatory. So leaving the ECR would not remove the UK's obligations under international law. Article 8 means that governments should attempt to protect the right to private and family life. However, this is a qualified right, not an absolute one. This means that states can restrict it if they have legitimate reasons, such as controlling immigration or deporting individuals deemed a threat to public safety. According to a report from Oxford University's Bonavera Institute of Human Rights, since 1980, the European Court of Human Rights has only found against the UK in 13 removal cases. Despite much of the debate this year centring on Article 8, only 4 of these cases involve the right to family life. When it comes to the Human Rights Act itself, things are less clear. The Home Office doesn't regularly publish deportation data. The latest figures from 2021 show that between April 2016 and June 2021, only 922 foreign national offenders successfully challenged their deportation on human rights grounds in the first tier tribunal. Just 3.5% of total deportations. And since these cases can be reviewed by an upper tribunal, which can overturn successful challenges, the real number is likely even lower. Unfortunately, no formal data exists on this. But the point is that leaving the ECR is unlikely to make a huge difference to deportations. So how could the UK actually leave? It is possible to denounce or withdraw from the ECR. To do so, at least 5 years must have passed since joining, and 6 months' notice must be given to the Secretary-General of the Council of Europe. If the UK did this, it would be only the third country to leave. Greece left under military rule and later rejoined, while Russia was expelled after its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. If the UK were to leave, British citizens would lose the external human rights scrutiny provided by a supranational court. This would happen even if the government introduced a British Bill of Rights, as Conservatives have previously suggested. Clearly, leaving would be a reputational risk and could weaken protections. Beyond that, there are two additional major obstacles: the Good Friday Agreement and the UK-EU Trade and Cooperation Agreement, TCA. The Good Friday Agreement explicitly requires that the ECR be incorporated into Northern Ireland law, with further references throughout the document to the safeguards it provides. Some right-wing think tanks have suggested that the Good Friday Agreement could simply be reinterpreted. But legal experts argue that the ECR is fundamental to it. Even Nigel Farage has acknowledged this, noting that a government led by him would seek to renegotiate the Good Friday Agreement in order to remove the ECR requirement. In addition, leaving the ECR would violate aspects of the UK-EU Trade and Cooperation Agreement. Article 763 reaffirms both sides' respect for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the international treaties to which they are parties. Breaking this would allow the EU to suspend or terminate parts of the agreement. While it's unlikely the EU would scrap the entire deal, judicial cooperation such as extradition arrangements could be suspended. In short, leaving the ECHR would not significantly increase deportations, but would come with serious legal, political and reputational challenges. You know as well as we do that in this climate it's important to stay sharp and perhaps even more important to be precise. Our sponsor this week, Henson Shaving, knows this better than anyone. Their razor holds the blade at a perfect 30-degree angle, extending it only 0.0013 inches, less than the width of a human hair. That means incredibly tight tolerances, high standards and superb precision. This also results in a much healthier shave compared to overpriced plastic cartridges that often leave skin sore and irritated. And speaking of plastic, over 2 billion plastic razors are thrown into landfill each year in the US alone. They're not only expensive but terrible for the environment. Henson razors are completely plastic free. From the blade to the box, everything they ship is recyclable. Henson is committed to protecting your skin in a way that's affordable, sustainable and environmentally friendly. And while replacing the blade yourself might sound intimidating, it's actually remarkably easy and even satisfying, giving you complete control over your shave. If you've been thinking about trying Henson, now is the perfect time. We're offering you 100 free blades with your purchase when you use the code TLDDR at checkout. Just go to hensonshaving.com/TLDDR or click the link in the description and you'll be on your way to a healthier shave.